And we are live. We got some people early in. First one from Franklin. Appreciate you for being the first one in here. And we're going to get that smile for you. I have now removed a picture of Arthur Smith from the dartboard. Yeah, I was obviously seeing obviously. It was nice seeing a good game from Bijan Robinson this week. Big time workload, got back on track. It's almost like people were kind of overreacting on him for the most part. Anyway, I get 23 points from my Kincaid and Davis to win my week. Hopefully it's 23 from Kincaid and a goose egg from Gabe Davis, because I do have Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Dalton Kincaid, and Khalil Shakir all in my lineup going up against Gabe Davis. I'm going to need a miracle, but I'm just hoping every Bill sans Gabe Davis goes off today. Need 27 points from my Javonte and Russ PPR 4-point passing touchdowns. How likely is that? I think it should be likely. I think you could peg in, given the workload, Javonte for about 10 to 15 points. And I'd be shocked if Russ in his own right didn't get 15 plus points in this game. So I think you got that, Leo. With Kyler Murray back and healthy, what would you say he's worth in a 12-team Superflex PPR start 9? 2 first, or am I overpaying? Well, first of all, you should have been able to scoop Kyler Murray prior to this news. You should have been buying him for a while, but I'd be willing to give up 2 ones. I think he's a legitimate top 15 level asset in Dynasty Superflex, and I think he should be traded as such. Any asset worth that top 15 should be worth 2+ first round picks, so I'd be willing to do that. How would you rank the current rookie receiver class? So if I go to my Dynasty rankings, I believe I would have it. Let me just check. Wide receiver. Puka number 1, Jordan Addison number 2, JSN number 3, Flowers 4. I think you got to put Tank Dell at 5 now based on what he's been able to show. Josh Downs at number 6, Rashee Rice at number 7, and then I think it's a logjam after that between like Quentin Johnson. Quentin Johnson, Marvin Mims kind of similar. I'd take Quentin Johnson though for sure at this point, knowing that Mims hasn't gotten the snaps. But I do think like if Quentin Johnson keeps showing himself to be the player that he's shown these last couple of weeks, the player that went in the first round, like he can go above Rice. I just think it's tough for him at this point, given how much ground he has to make up on guys like Flowers, JSN, Addison, and I mean, I don't think he's ever going to touch Puka based off what he's doing this year. It's going to be tough for him to rise further from that. But that's about how I would organize them. And I have to switch batteries in my camera. Give me a sec. I will switch to the webcam for the time being. That's just awesome timing now, isn't it? All right. I mean, I'll just rip it the rest of the stream on the webcam. That's head on that bush to, yeah. That's unfortunate. Okay, we went through that. Difference in Dynasty between London and Puka. So I have currently Puka as my wide receiver 7, Drake London as my wide receiver 14. I think they're relatively similar tier. I would prefer guys like Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, etc. to Drake London. That at this point, with how Puka's been able to command targets, I simply have to have a little bit of a difference there. I mean, just the production's been massive. Now let's revisit my trade. I traded CJ Stroud and DK for Josh Allen, 16-team super flexible PPR. CJ Stroud definitely is going to toe-to-toe with Joe Burrow. Yeah, I mean, I raised CJ Stroud in my Dynasty rankings as well. I think he's a clear-cut tier 2 quarterback. I still like the trade because I do think that those top 2 quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, are the clear mountain of Dynasty, and there's no real wrong price to pay for them, especially in a 16-team Superflex. The value of the quarterback advantage means more, in my opinion, than DK Metcalf does. But I will say, though, looking at this trade now, I mean, CJ Stroud may just be a top 5, top 4 overall asset in Superflex. If he keeps playing the way he has been, what's stopping him from rising to the 3rd overall player? So I agree. We have to be fully out on Tony Pollard now, right? In Dynasty, I would agree. In Dynasty, because I don't think he's going to have that tenure with Dallas moving forward. In redraft, it all depends on the cost, man. I hate to sound like a broken record, but like he's underperforming at a level so high compared to his workload. Like I can't even rationalize it at this point. Like, it's actually remarkable based off the work he's getting, based off the high value touches. Had a touchdown. Basically, he came up inches short of yesterday. Had another touchdown on play action. They fed, Jake Ferguson on the goal line. Had another touchdown snipe from Rico Dowdle. Like, I don't think I've seen a more unlucky player in fantasy this year than Tony Pollard. Now, how does that impact my expectation? Well, he's getting an RB1 workload, but because he hasn't been playing well, maybe adjust him to a top 15 running back rest of the season. But I don't know, man. We're going to have to start seeing it. Yesterday, perfect script, man. You're talking about a 18-point home favorite against a Giants team that we knew wasn't going to be able to move the ball. And he gave you 5.5 PPR points. And trust me, I know that all too well because I was able to experience that in my home league, watching Tony Pollard in my flex one score 5.5. And my opponent's flex one just so happens to be Keenan Allen, who puts up over 40 points. So yeah, I'm a little on edge right now at the Tony Pollard performance, having him in fantasy, being a Cowboys fan and seeing him literally just get sniped left, right, and center on touchdowns was pretty infuriating. And what are we doing with Breece Hall in redraft? He was in a smash spot against the Raiders yesterday. I'm still holding him. He's been a little bit inefficient these last couple of weeks. I'm just kind of chalking it up to variance at this point. Obviously, the Jets offense struggled to a certain point. I don't know. He's too talented of a player not to be viewed as a mid-range, at worst, back-end RB1 rest of the season. Just got a trade done. I sent DK Metcalf, Madison, and Downs for Javonte and T. Higgins. Feel pretty good, but wanted to get your guys' thoughts. Yeah, I mean, looking at this deal right now, Alexander Madison obviously suffering that concussion. Hopefully he's okay. Josh Downs, DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf, I would prefer T. Higgins to the rest of the season, and then Madison and Downs for Javonte about fair. So I don't mind if you're in a consolidation spot going after the two studs there with Javonte and T. I like that. Plus, not to mention, we haven't even seen Javonte play tonight. If he goes out and has a 20-plus point performance, like his value is going to skyrocket. Down 15 points, full PPR. I have Russ and Khalil Shakir. Opponent has Javonte. Winning chance? I mean, I hope so for your sake. For E's sake, let's just say Russ and Javonte cancel each other out. You're probably going to need about 15 from Khalil Shakir. I'd give you about, a 35% chance, 40% chance. Again, hopefully for my sake as well, I am starting Shakir. Hopefully he does have, a big 15, 20 plus PPR point performance, maybe catches a touchdown. I'm hoping you are able to pull that off. Started 0-3 and will be 6-4 as long as Diggs and Javonte don't put up 50 half PPR points. Good luck, Ryan. Good luck. Very nice turnaround from you there. My roster is now Mahomes, Lamb, Higgins, Bijan, Javonte, flex options, Amari, London, Jacoby Myers, Kyron as well, or Kyron off of IR as well as Kyler. Yeah, very solid team there for you, Nate. Got a super here from AJ. Appreciate that. He says, Jerry or Sutton, best dynasty running back to buy for a win now. If you're starting one for tonight, I would still go with Cortland Sutton out of those two wide receivers. If you're talking about rest of the season, I would probably slightly lean Sutton, but like they're very close. Sutton's just been the touchdown scorer when they got into the red area. RB buy for a win now team. Well, I think the deflated, veteran running backs are always going to be your best, buys at cost. So guys like James Conner, James Conner's actually the one that really stands out with Kyler Murray coming back. That offense had a lot of juice to it yesterday. We expect him to keep playing better moving forward. And James Conner has shown anytime he's healthy, he could be a bell cow running back for this team. So I actually think he's a really solid dynasty buy, especially if it gets done for, let's say, a mid-second you can buy him for. I think that'd be appropriate. Half PPR, 12-team, Hall, Waddle, Kincaid for Tyreek and Olave. So for equating this right now, I mean, if you have another tight end, I don't mind just going for the double upgrade here because I think Tyreek Hill is such a difference maker that you can't really overpay for him. Obviously, it does hurt to lose Kincaid because I do think he's top 5 rest of the season. But if you have Kincaid in this offer, I'm assuming you probably have a decent tight end option regardless. So I'd be willing to pay this up for Tyreek. Where did we leave off? We left off at Nate. Where is Nate? There. Okay. Can't believe I traded White for Pollard. Don't worry, Johnny. Don't worry. Obviously, Rashad White, demolished him from a stat standpoint this past game. But moving forward, I'm still trusting the cleaner projection and the much better offense. What the hell with Lamar? Yeah, I mean, Lamar's been on a pretty down stretch so far for these last couple of weeks. I really can't explain it. You're talking about a team that put up over 30 points at home, and he had less than 15 points. He'll turn it around because he's too good of a real-life quarterback, and he's too good with his legs not to. But obviously, games like that do stink. What do you do in a failed house money year? Started 4-2, now 4-6, and acquired Keenan cheap preseason, but struggling to move him now as most contenders already sold first. Hold for next year. If your team has the makeup to be a house money team, and that Keenan Allen can't net you a late first at this point, I'm just going to hold him and hope he has a great year next year. Like he's going to be ranked inside the top 10 or so wide receivers for me going into 2024 fantasy draft. So if you can't get top dollar for him from the contenders, just hold him, to be honest. Like it's tough dealing with assets like that, knowing that realistically, yeah, you're probably going to lose a little bit of value in the offseason because, people just don't buy those type of assets in in June, July, maybe even early August. They start buying them late August, early September. So it's going to hurt you for the life cycle of the value of him. However, if you're not getting top dollar right now, there's literally no point in moving. And plus, not to mention, I mean, you mentioned that this is still a house money team. If, things turn it around, you make the playoffs, you still have a potential chance to compete, right? So if you have a shell, anyways. Keaton Mitchell looking like a league winner. We need the touch counts going up, but the efficiency and the the offensive structure, man, the offensive situation. Yeah, if he starts getting upwards of 12, 15 plus touches, I mean, we could be looking at, just Devon A-Chain 2.0. I'm up 1.5 with Gabe Davis to go. I kind of want to bench him, LOL. I mean, it all depends on the morale or the ethics of it in your league. If your league allows that to happen and you can bench him, then don't feel free, go bench him. But if your league in the guidelines, in the bylaws literally say like you must field the full lineup, that's when you have to start him. But it just all depends on your league dynamic. Are people going to be cool with it if you bench him? Are people going to be pissed that you benched him? Like, you're going to know your league more than I do. I've seen multiple leagues go either way on that, by the way. Yo, what's up, Smooth? What's up, Smooth? Yo, what up, Danny? How we feeling about JSN and Dynasty half PPR? A lot of encouraging signs for JSN recently. A lot of big-time involvement in that offense. Putting together some really good games. I want it to continue. He's a top 20 overall Dynasty wide receiver for me at the current point. And if he keeps, piling on some big-time performances, finishes the year strong, I think that ceiling could be even closer to top 15 level. Are you guys ready for the Kincaid 30 bomb? I am hoping and praying you are right there, Brock. I need it injected in my veins. I do need Dalton Kincaid to go off. Thoughts on K9 after yesterday? I mean, basically echoing exactly what I've been preaching for a while, man. Like, when this guy's healthy, he's still a legitimate fantasy football difference maker. First game back, obviously leads that go-ahead drive, game-winning field goal for that Cardinals offense. And I just think it's brighter days coming ahead. He looked good, man. He was moving well coming off that ACL injury, and I don't think we're going to have any limitations on him going back. I think at this point, you have to consider him a clear-cut quarterback one in terms of both dynasty and redraft, and if he keeps showing that level of mobility, I think you can talk about him being a possible top 5 quarterback rest away. We got the bushy boy in himself. How you doing?
Doing good. Fresh off a camera up the ass, but we're doing all right.
I was gonna say, I'm like, are you a little wider than usual or what? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I'm on. I got some sedation from the colonoscopy, but I think it's worn off by now, so I think I'm in tip-top shape.
That's what's up. That's what's up. We're talking some K9. We're seeing some vintage K9 yesterday, eh?
We were seeing some vintage K9. I haven't had a chance at all because I've been like out cold to look at any of the usage for yesterday's games. But one thing I mentioned on the waiver show, or not the waiver show, sorry, the running back show, was I wouldn't be shocked if we saw the usage correct itself because Walker was on the injury report for a number of games.
Charbonnet,
but it looks like it did not. I mean, the rush attempts did to some degree, but the snap share was in favor of Charbonnet again. So,
well, you know why that happened? He just so happened to have to take a 65-yard house call from a screen because he was playing against me in my home league, because that's what happens.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's usually what happens.
Oh, and any time that Tony Pollard wants to get outscored 40 to 5.5 in the flex by Keenan Allen, it has to happen the week I play against Keenan Allen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, man, I need a ballistic Bills night to even have a chance. I'm currently projected to lose by like 13 points because I don't even understand what happened in the second half of the 4 p.m. slate. Sam Howell, garbage time piling on. Kenneth Walker taking a screen pass. Keenan Allen, 40 burger on my head top. Like,
brutal.
And then Tony Pollard getting sniped left, right, and center. I mean, anytime the Cowboys enter
I mean, as Tony Pollard managers, we should be used to it by now.
He got stopped on the inch line on 4th down. On the inch line.
Oh, I know. I was watching.
Oh, watching that game as a Cowboys fan, it's like, on one hand, I'm like, yo, Dak is balling out. I feel good. And then on the other hand, it's like, I have Tony Pollard in fantasy.
Like Rico Dowdle might be the best running back on your team is probably also the other takeaway.
Stay tuned for the waiver show tomorrow, boys and girls, because you may just be looking at a top 15 graded rusher right now on PFF with Rico Dowdle.
How the hell did we get? Is it just a rule that the Cowboys backup running back must be better than the starter?
Dude, he's got juice, man. He looks good. Like, I hate to say it as a Pollard, Pollard.
Two big running back takeaways for me yesterday were, you were right, Jahmyr Gibbs looks like he's gonna be a stud rest of the season. But Dave Montgomery's still quite good himself.
I raised him rest of the season. By the way,
I'll give you your credit on Jahmyr Gibbs having more, at least RB1 appeal rest of the season than I thought he would have. I thought it would be, closer to like like the split that we saw yesterday was 58% for Gibbs, 38% for Montgomery. I expected it to be the other way around, basically.
I did too, to be honest. But at the same time, Montgomery ripped off a 75-yard touchdown, and Gibbs had 5 inside the 5 carries. Like, I thought that would be inverted.
Yeah, literally. Like, what world are we living in where 4-6 5 years ago at the combine, David Montgomery was ripping off 75. Remember the in 2020 when he had his like back half of the season, he had one game where he ripped off like a 70-yard touchdown. I'm like, really? David Montgomery ripped off a 75-yard touchdown? It's like the same exact situation. It would be like equivalent of Najee Harris ripping off a 70-yard touchdown. Like, it's just nobody's expecting that.
Oh, it's nuts. By the way, dude, shout out the Lions because like they're fun to root for. Again, I can't root for them once the Cowboys play them later in the year. But can we talk about the balls on Dan Campbell / Ben Johnson? We got a 4th and 5 trap. We ran trap on 4th and 5 and converted. Like, that's such a tone-setting play call. It's like, yeah, we should be passing on 4th and 5, but we're just gonna run fucking trap at you and see if you could stop David Montgomery. For what it's worth, David Montgomery, by the way, 2 yards short of the sticks, puts his ass down, puts his pads down, and just grinds forward for the first down. As a running back enthusiast, you gotta love that, eh? The great.
Also, as a Bucs fan, I guess we're like back in the playoff hunt now with the Saints. Like, I mean, the Saints quarterback Derek Carr is hurt. Jameis is gonna do Jameis things. We saw exactly. Jameis had the type of Sunday that I had, which was like, a lot of shitting.
Piss yourself,
basically. Yeah. So, like Jameis is gonna do Jameis things. Suddenly, the Bucs are, at least tied in losses with the Saints because we had a bye already and they didn't until this week. So we're 4 and 5. They're 5 and 5. We have a head-to-head win against them already. Like, somehow we're not out of this, which is crazy.
All this to just set up another Cowboys Bucs wildcard weekend.
Also, one thing I'd really love to just know what the fuck is going on at Advent Health Training Center in Tampa Bay is why we can never win in October, dude. I don't know what the month of October does to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The year we won the Super Bowl, we were 1-3 in October. Last year as well, 0-4 in October. This year, 0-4 in October. Like, what is going on?
You played some good teams,
that we had a good season with Jameis, 2016 season or whatever. I think we were 0-4 in October that year too. So I don't know what the hell's going on with the month of October and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They always start strong in September, no matter how good their team is, and then they throw in the middle of October, and then November, December, they start to pick themselves back up. If we could just like go 2-2 in October for once in our lives, that'd be cool.
For what it's worth, I mean, you did have a tough stretch. The only one I would say that you definitely should have won would have been at home against the Falcons. But I mean,
we should have beaten Houston too. I guess that wasn't October necessarily, but we obviously should have beaten Houston. CJ just pulled some crazy shit.
Dude, he's another takeaway, by the way, of the weekend. Dude, is this guy a top 5 dynasty quarterback? Like,
again, if you're in a rebuild and you wanted to say you take him over Joe Burrow, I mean, Joe Burrow's 28 years old. CJ Stroud's 21 years old or 22 years old. So
I keep coming back to him
in a startup. If you intended, maybe you're feeling out like, as we talk about all the time, like when you're entering a startup, you feel out the draft room a little bit, maybe that like 7, 8, 9 guys are going to go like win now competitive teams. And you want to go for a little bit more of a young approach. You could probably get CJ Stroud in the first round, double back around in round 2, maybe even get yourself an Anthony Richardson type or somebody like that to build your team around. So, I mean, I don't think it's outrageous to say that CJ Stroud is a top 5 startup pick. I personally wouldn't quite take him that high. I still would prefer at face value like a Burrow type or a Herbert type, but
taking him or Lamar,
I would take Lamar still. I think Lamar Jackson has the rushing ability that's going to make him like a guaranteed top 5 quarterback. And I mean, Murray too, like his value is going to be going back up now that he's healthy as well. Like Kyler Murray is literally like 26 years old. Like he's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yep. And by the way, what are we talking about now with the gap between the tier 1 and the tier 2 dynasty receivers with the way AJ Brown and CeeDee Lamb are playing? Genuinely. Like they're playing like first team all pros.
They are. Yeah. They're definitely playing at that level. I still think you want to take the youth of Chase and Jefferson.
Chase is a year younger than CeeDee.
Right. Yeah. No, that's like, I mean, I think the conversation is more AJ Brown versus those guys because Brown is
fair.
like 27 almost. So, with receivers, you're going to draft these guys in a 3 to 4 year window to begin with. Like, yeah, like Chase and Jefferson will probably be dominant for like 6, 7 years still. But generally speaking, it's probably a 3 to 4 window that you're looking at. And like, you can make the realistic argument that there's not a huge difference in a 3 to 4 year window between an AJ Brown type and a Justin Jefferson type.
I mean, I would agree. I would say Jefferson right now, like at least more so with Chase. I do still think like Jefferson was showing even before he got hurt that like he was just flat out Tyreek Hill and him.
I still favor Chase though over those two guys.
Really?
I mean, maybe not
favor
as
them,
much,
fair.
but with Chase versus AJ Brown and Justin Jefferson and stuff, or I guess not AJ Brown, but with Chase versus Justin Jefferson, like Chase has Burrow, right? Like Chase has Burrow. Like that is a realistic thing that we need to factor in because like as great as Justin Jefferson is, if the Vikings are in kind of quarterback purgatory for a year or two, like that's going to impact his value.
Yeah, no, fair. And I mean, we still don't know. Obviously, we've seen what 5 quarters of football, no, not 5 quarters, like 6 or 7 quarters of football with Josh Dobbs at the helm. And yeah, he's played well for the Vikings, but like, is he just going to keep continuing playing like a top 15
I think
quarterback?
the clock will probably strike midnight at some point on Josh Dobbs for a couple games here and there. But I mean, Jefferson isn't even on the field right now, and he's doing this already. So, yeah,
not
he
to
could be good enough
Dobbs,
to support him the rest of the season. I think with Jefferson, you got to wonder long term what the Vikings' plan at quarterback is because they're going to be too good by the looks of it. Like they're currently in a wild card spot right now to go out and get a different quarterback in the draft or anything like that. Are they going to just retain Kirk Cousins, who's going to be like, I mean, based on what we've seen from Aaron Rodgers, he'll probably be back by week 1, but you never know. Like maybe he just gets a traditional Achilles surgery and doesn't have any witchcraft to get back on the field in 4 months like Aaron Rodgers.
He had a different surgery than Rodgers.
I think this makes the Vikings more likely to retain Kirk Cousins, actually.
I agree.
The Achilles tear, I think it makes them more likely to keep him because if he didn't tear his Achilles, I think there's a possibility that he would have gotten way overpaid by a different team.
What's so funny, by the way, is last year the Vikings went 13-4, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, they're kind of fraudulent. You know, they won X amount of games, like close games, etc." And like this year, it's like, dude, they started 1-4 because they couldn't win close games. Like, could you imagine if some of that close game luck actually went their way? They might be like 7-3 or 8-2 right now.
Yeah,
they started 1-4.
It'd be pretty crazy, like how good the Vikings record could be right now. Because if they had that close game luck, like you said, they'd be in like a much better situation. But yeah,
for sure. We got a super here from Ryan. My apologies. I'm just noticing it now. He says, question posted above with the team. He says 10-team Dynasty Superflex starting lineup is Dak, Goff, Breece, Kamara, CD, Amon-Ra, Olave, Kelsey, Ayuk, etc. Send Higgins, Ramondre, and Dell for Tyreek. And a 10-team Superflex, go buy Tyreek, to be honest. Like, that seems expensive. Can you get anything? Ugh.
Yeah, I'd want I think I'm fine doing this move. It's 10-team super flex. Like you want the production of Tyreek Hill for sure, but I would like something back if I can get it. Like even a second round pick just to
Adam Thielen?
like some other competitive piece would help you. Some, dart throw second rounder, maybe try and buy low on like a young receiver not having like the greatest start, even just as a dart throw, like just if somebody wants to just offload you like a Jonathan Mingo type, just to give you some kind of avenue to replenish your youth a little bit. But other than, I mean, I'm fine doing this if you have a strong team already.
Yeah, because you're buying points as a top contender. It hurts because, like, Tank Dell is going to be a big dynasty riser for me as well. Like,
he is, but like Tank Dell is kind of the case of Jahan Dotson, Elijah Moore of years past, where it's like he's probably never going to be a top 12 dynasty receiver.
Dude, he got 14 targets yesterday, and he's tethered to CJ Stroud for how long?
Yeah. Oh no, it's a great situation to be in, but like I think we can all agree that Tank Dell is not going to surpass the likes of like AJ Browns and Amon-Ra St. Browns, even like Drake London and Puka Nacua types. I personally wouldn't do that.
I think we have to rank him over his teammate at this point, though. Moving forward,
I don't know, man. I don't know because Dell's been really inconsistent so far this year, and
I think though.
I mean he's a rookie, and that's going to happen and that kind of thing. But I think at face value, I would prefer Collins to Dell.
Even if you prefer Collins, though, they have to like be relatively same tier. Like they're same range.
Right, but Collins isn't sniffing the top 12 right now, not even close.
No. Okay, that's not what I'm. No,
that's what I mean. Like Collins, because he's 6'4", 215 pounds, inherently should have that type of upside to be able to become a top 12 dynasty receiver. But even he probably doesn't quite have that upside.
No, his ceiling realistically, if he bounces back in a huge way, would probably be T Higgins at max, like top.
Yeah, exactly.
12
So
to
like
15.
if you're talking about T Higgins at max, like what's Tank
Yeah.
Dell going to be at max?
Top 20.
Yeah, no, he can be great,
Top
very
15.
solid dynasty wide
Somewhere
receiver,
around
but
there.
like would you feel comfortable with him as your dynasty wide receiver 1 on a
Oh,
rebuilding team?
no,
Like
not at
absolutely
all.
not. You'd want him probably as your 3rd best receiver most likely.
No, more so just pointing out the fact that he's played really well, and even if he's a wide receiver 3,
What's he worth right now? If somebody offered you X package, what would you sell him for?
probably equivalent of like an early to mid 2. Somewhere around there.
So I think you're saying he's that high up in the dynasty wide receiver rankings,
He's
and you're
23 years. 23 years. Okay. Question do I have right now? Who are you tanking in dynasty between him, Downs, QJ? Like, how are you ranking
QJ
that?
ain't even close to this conversation, but
I mean,
Downs,
that's
I would
also
prefer
big.
to Tank Dell still, to be honest.
But like that's the same argument though. Smaller wide receiver, and then you can argue the passing.
Right, but
ceiling of
Downs had
CJ
the much
Stroud.
better profile, which is where I'm at with Downs.
I agree, but I mean, I think by the end of the season, like,
they're
Tank Dell
close. Like they're probably within like 3 or 4 spots in my dynasty rankings. Like they're really close. Like it's not an argument of like, oh, I had Downs way higher pre-draft, so I'm going to keep it that way. Like no, and honest, Dell has the better passing quarterback, right, like long term. So it's a better situation for him.
No, it is fascinating to see how it happens in a couple of years. Full PPR K9 for Kamara. Worried about K9 rest of the season. I am to a degree too, but like, can you get?
I'm also worried about Kamara rest of the season.
Like literally though, can you get like any other running back? Like, can you get? Can you work up to JT? Can you do that?
That's not possible. Jonathan Taylor. I can name 2
Jacobs?
running backs I'd rather have than Jonathan Taylor rest of the season.
Oh, you're not gonna like where I have Jahmyr Gibbs ranked then.
Where do you have him?
Rest of the season. He's my RB6.
You have him ahead of Taylor.
He said, okay, to be fair, though, the second tier of like, honestly, Eckler to Taylor, 2 to 7 is the same tier for me. McCaffrey's
I would say go after like Breece potentially. Go after Jacobs. I might be done saying go buy Pollard at this point in time. Like I'm probably not doing that.
Where are you ranking him rest of the season? Real talk, Pollard. Like
probably in the mid-teens.
But I'm trying to lower him. Who are you ranking him below? Kamara, Swift, Henry?
I would take both of those guys over Pollard in a heartbeat. I don't even think that should be a discussion. Like, what has Tony, like, I get it, workload, good offense, all that stuff. What the fuck has Tony Pollard done to be ahead of those guys?
It seemed like, and I get you. It feels reactionary, but at the end of the day, he still has put up single-digit points 5 or 6 games. Like, it feels reactionary because the implied workload should be this guy's averaging 18 points per game right now.
Let me ask you earlier, but this is a really interesting one.
You say Joe Mixon.
Both Detroit Lions running backs over Tony Pollard.
Well, I think if you're arguing like Kamara, Swift, Henry, Montgomery has to be up there. Montgomery, like, I can make the argument Montgomery straight up over Henry, given the offensive complexion, easily.
Yeah. If I say a Pacheco over Tony Pollard rest of the season,
I can't get there. I can't.
The workload's
too inconsistent.
Like, I don't care. I got, it's a worse workload, but it's as good of an offense, if not better.
Not right now.
Not right now. But in terms of running back usage and how they use Pacheco versus how Pollard is used, that factors in. And I would say Pacheco is at least playing well enough and getting good enough workload, not Pollard's workload, but a good enough workload that he can get there.
I mean, I'm not going to argue it to a certain degree because
it comes down to the fact that one guy is playing well and one guy isn't.
But that's what I mean. It's like someone could tell me Pollard's their RB6 rest of the season because of the usage, and I'd be like, okay, I get it. And if someone could tell me he's their RB18 rest of the season because he hasn't been playing well, and I would say, okay, I get it.
He's kind of just Joe Mixon now. He's just in the Joe Mixon range. Like that's exactly what you get out of Joe Mixon. It's like inefficient usage, and you hope for touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, which sucks, by the way, because I don't think I've seen a more unlucky player in terms of scoring touchdowns on offense that's putting up 30 points per game this year. You remember how ugly the offense looked in the first few weeks? They're still scoring 30 points per game this year, and Pollard has, 2 on the season?
This might be one of the most fascinating case studies in fantasy.
It makes no sense.
A couple of years, because there is literally nothing other than Tony Pollard not playing well has gone wrong. Your offensive line, Tyler and Tyron Smith, are dominant up front, dude.
Studs.
I don't know how the fuck Tony Pollard isn't crushing fantasy football right now.
Dude, 4 of the 5 offensive linemen are very good. And like Terrence Steele, he played like shit against Philadelphia, but he had a good game against the Giants. And like obviously the Giants defensive line is in Phillies, but like the Giants defensive line is the strength of their defense by far.
Yeah. I also let me say this too. After tonight, I'm gonna be ready to make the Javonte over Pollard switch. I think we're gonna see enough out of Javonte tonight to be able to do that.
I don't hate it. By the way, we still have some live bets from Sunday for tonight. So
I had too many Javonte bets, but I think your guys crushed. So I gotta. It's what you had: Foreman and Gibbs.
Foreman 16.2, Gibbs 26.2. So watch him finish with 21.2, and we just even those out.
Yeah, I would like a nice Javonte 30-point bomb.
Oh, you're not gonna like this, by the way.
I think I need 32 points out of Javonte and no, not 32, 22 points out of Javonte and Judy in the Bitcoin League to win this week to go to 7-3. So Jesus. I'm hoping I get a good Javonte and Judy game.
That's what's up. By the way, for the record, so
also, sorry, could you answer some questions? I got to check on my food. I forgot I was making something.
Okay, go for it. Yeah, we'll talk about that after. Our gravy deadline coming up. Half PPR, Hurts, Garrett Wilson, Addison. Trade Kelsey to upgrade a wide receiver, target. So I mean, who would you have at tight end again if you trade Kelsey? That's kind of what I'm wondering here. I just wouldn't trade Kelsey, to be honest. Yeah, like just hold Kelsey. Like you're pretty deep at wide receiver. If anything, consolidate at wide receiver, but you're pretty deep there. Like I just don't agree with trading away Kelsey because it feels like I was kind of trading him low, and he's still the clear tight end 1 for me the rest of the season. That's how I view that. Where did we leave off? That is the question I actually have. Probably not. No. Just ready for okay. So I think this is where we left. What do I do with Pollard at this point? I think we did that. Oh, giving up all hope. So I trade for Javonte straight up. So I mean, Bush will say yes because he literally just said that beforehand. Oh, click the same time. Speaking of the next comment, I would still take Pollard. It's the offense.
I never want to sell low on a player. I never want to. I think it's
I can't.
One of the biggest ways you can get behind in fantasy leagues is giving up on players. Even when players deserve to be given up on, it behooves you to wait a couple weeks to at least have a semi-decent game to sell high on.
Can we just at least wait until after they demolish the Panthers? If he doesn't get home this weekend against the Panthers.
He should have done it this week, man.
I know, but 11-point favorites against the Panthers this upcoming week. The Panthers are a run funnel defense. The process is giving him one more chance. If he does not do it this week,
if we get a 70% snap share, 20+ opportunity game out of Javonte Williams, I'm doing this trade.
Wait until the Carolina game is my advice. Just wait until it.
I will say, though, like you're buying a guy on the rise, though. So, like, it's possible that even if he has a decent game, Javonte might be off to the races all the way up in Breece Hall territory.
Maybe. I mean, I don't think the offense will let him get there, but maybe.
I do, man. I think
again,
Javonte
I mean, the Jets
is
offense
a missing piece of this offense, and the offense is good enough when Javonte Williams is playing well. Russ has not played bad this year.
He hasn't, but I mean,
he's been like a top 15 quarterback, dude.
Real life?
Yeah.
I'd say top 20. Top 15.
If Javonte Williams is playing at the level he was playing at before the bye, Russ plays how he's played so far this year. It's a new coaching staff. Post-bye, we could have some factors there as well. Judy's, whatever. We're kind of done with Jerry Judy. But Courtland Sutton is playing at a solid level. Maybe Marvin Mims gets more involved. Greg Dulcich will be back soon. Like, I think this offense could actually kind of sun run a little bit. I'm really happy for that because I have 17% Javonte Williams in best ball. But I don't know, man. I think Javonte Williams is the piece that this offense has been missing the whole time.
By the way, so for the record for our weekly bet, so the Hawk versus Ferguson, which is tragic because Ferguson had a great game. It's just Hawkinson went fucking ballistic. Well, by the way, why does a report come out at 12:30? He's gonna play limited snaps because he has a rib issue. Guys play.
Yeah, everyone got baited there.
What was the point of releasing that? I'm sorry, but like,
I mean, he for what it's worth, he did actually play a little bit less snaps than he usually does, and like it looked like he died like 3 separate times on some of his catches. But at the same time, of course, why wouldn't a report come out like that when I'm playing against TJ Hawkinson to get my hopes up, just for me to get absolutely annihilated with a 36-point bomb in a tight end premium league?
No, that was dominant. So Hawk won that one, and you're not gonna like this. We had a Kirk versus Metcalf bet, and Metcalf outscored him by 0.4.
That's horrible. Also, technically, I could still win tonight. as crazy as this is,
So can
by
I
the way,
somehow.
my start sit decision of Tyler Boyd versus Devin Singletary looked so bad at first because Singletary was dropping like a 25 bomb, but then Boyd started catching a bunch of like final drive passes. Of course, if he catches that touchdown, it would have actually been the correct decision to start Boyd. But what isn't it such Devin Singletary fashion to have like, what is it, like 18 carries
And a
for like 40
horrific
yards against the Bucs and then just absolutely erupt against the Bengals the next week?
It's unreal. It's unreal. By the way, dude, our fucking FFPC team, despite having half our roster out, actually put up points. We just so happened to play against a team that went.
Honestly, dude, it's honestly good what happened because where we're at in our league, it doesn't actually matter what happens head to head anymore because we're not going to catch 1 and 2 anyway.
Yeah,
so
facts.
Because the way the playoff structure is first and second place. I think they have like a bye or something like that. But it's a 4-team playoff, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's first and second place in record get in, and then it's
and
what
the 2
first,
highest remaining
points for after that.
Yeah, we're the current 4.
Yeah, so it really doesn't matter like if we win games rest of the season because we're the second place for the points for, and we're not going to catch the record of the top 2 guys. So all we have to do is continue to put up a lot of points. So even though we lost this week, it's not bad because we're still in position to be most points for.
Well, right now we have the 4th most points for, and the team right at like in 5th has like 30 less points than us, and we just had our bye week apocalypse. So we're in a good position.
This week?
So that team was 1187. That was from Frank. Frank put up 181 this week.
Okay, so he's gonna pass us.
He's gonna pass us, but we don't have the bye weeks left. And if I look
who
at
does he
Frank's
have?
team,
Like, has he had his buys already?
well, we have JT on bye next week. We have one more.
Okay. So we're gonna need some good performances, but like Mostert, Swift, and HN being on bye with Higgins out, and like we were screwed this
dude.
week.
He had his bye week apocalypse. Can we talk about the fact that he had fucking Noah Brown and Brandon Cooks combined for 57 points?
What the hell is that, dude?
Dude. Yeah,
dude,
unreal.
My fantasy matchup this week was just brutal. Like in my home league, like playing against Tank Dell and CJ Stroud, who like weren't doing that well, and then decided to just like incrementally get better as the game went along. Freaking Chris Olave had 0 points in the 3rd quarter and finishes with 21.4 against me. TJ Hawkinson just absolutely crushes me. And this guy is Brandon Cooks in his 2nd flex spot. Like just absolutely, I'm like, Brandon Cooks has done nothing this year. And
he will be on the
crushes me.
He will be on the waiver show though.
Oh, I bet. Technically, I could still win. Technically, I am down.
So could I.
I'm down a lot. I will say I am down 66 points, but I got my hammers tonight. I got Josh Allen and Dalton Kincaid. I need 3 touchdowns.
I'm all for it.
Basically.
Hey, listen to me. So I'm down by I think 62 points right now. He has Gabe Davis. I have Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Dalton Kincaid, and Khalil Shakir. And by the way, I initially had Noah Brown in, but then last second, I'm like, you know what? I have more faith in the game environment with Shakir. So I put in Khalil Shakir, and I changed that in my rankings because they were both top 40 wide receivers for me. I changed Shakir over Noah Brown on Sunday morning. What the hell is up
with Noah Brown lately? What the fuck
are we doing? 24.2 on my bench.
What do we do? Why is Noah Brown cooking?
Bro, he's caught in 13 of his 14 targets in the last 2 games and converted like 330 receiving yards in that stretch.
I actually hate everything about Noah Brown.
What is dude? We already got to that.
Said, did you?
He said that
already?
too. Yeah, so he said trade Kelsey to upgrade a wide receiver, and he says he has Schultz already. If you have Schultz, I personally would keep Kelsey and trade Schultz, given that he's kind of coming off a high right now, personally. But I don't know. Can the 2 Texans here? I mean, I guess Nico missed last week's game. I don't know who's coming off a high here. Not really much. I mean, I would just hold and sell Schultz, put it simply.
Yeah.
So let's
maybe
go back to the
Gibbs
top.
plus Schultz and get a better running back.
I mean, what running back game? I wouldn't do that.
Taylor,
I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't take Schultz and Gibbs to get Taylor or Eckler?
Eckler, sure. I have Gibbs ranked ahead of Taylor the rest of the season.
That is an egregious oversight.
I mean, you said that when I ranked Doomer Gibbs at number 9.
Like Gibbs is like inside my top 10 running backs rest of the season. I have him at 8. Like he's
Colts
definitely
offense might just
better
suck.
than I thought he was going to be, but he's not ahead of Jonathan Taylor, who I have at 3 currently.
I mean, we'll see. That's all I can say. The Colts offense sucks.
ETN had a bad week. Maybe you could go Gibbs and Schultz for ETN. Would you do that?
I mean, I would rather just trade Schultz, to be honest. I view Gibbs as a tier 2 running back, and I view the only running back in tier 1 as McCaffrey. So it doesn't really make sense, in my opinion, to move within the tier. Again, maybe I'm just high on Gibbs, but like, why wouldn't I be? 12th overall pick that's showing this level of upside. Like, I'm just gonna
he's been great for sure. Which kind of sucks because he's like one of the few like guys that I didn't get a whole lot of in Best Ball Mania, because anytime I was on the clock at that area of the draft, it was Breece Hall or ETN, not Gibbs.
I want to see how much I had of him. Let me take a look. Get back to the top, by the way, real quick.
I have no idea where you left off, dude.
I'll just click where I left off, I think, here. Let me see
9-0, up 22.5 points going against Diggs. You think I can go 10-0? 22.5 for Diggs. I'd say gotta.
Juan, I'm cheering against you here. I'm sorry. I'm cheering against you here. I have Stephon Diggs and I need him to go like 30 bomb. So I'm sorry. I don't mean to be a dickhead, but I'm cheering for my guy.
Yeah, I'm cheering against Diggs because I want. Well, I'm not against Diggs because I have.
Cheer for all the Bills.
I would love. I need a 400-yard passing day and 3 touchdowns, Kincaid to Allen connection to have a chance of winning this. And I think it would be hilarious if I won, because my league mate's been talking so much shit in my like, he's been texting me. He's like, "Are you going to crack 60 points this week? Are you going to crack that?" I'm like, "Dude, your team is awful. You had Brandon Cooks in your lineup and he happened to snap for 33 points."
I finished with 10.2% Gibbs, by the way.
That's pretty good.
You love to see it. Trading Gibbs for Mahomes feels bad now. Yeah, that's pain, Carlos. But I mean, it's still Patrick Mahomes. So I mean, I only
ended up with 5% Jahmyr Gibbs, but the reason for that is because I have 16% Travis Etienne and 27% Breece Hall. So
yeah, I don't know.
I mean, Breece is my highest drafted player. Anytime I was in that area of the draft, it was always Breece that I was drafting over Gibbs.
I was mixing it up pretty frequently. So like I said, I had 10.2% Gibbs. What did I finish with the other guys? Let me just take a look. 10.2% Gibbs. Breece, I had 16.8%. And ETN, I had 16.8%. So I just was smashing them every single time on the 3-4 turn, 2 of them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I probably should have mixed.
Just the wide receivers in that range.
The problem was I was drafting so much Breece at the 2-3 turn when he was an early 3rd round pick, and then when he started falling to the 3-4 turn, I'm like, well, I'm not just gonna not draft Breece now because he's even cheaper than where I like. It's the same. It was after Dalvin signed that he went down like a whole round of ADP.
Same page. By the way, you know what I'm feeling really good for in terms of my best ball combos that I'm just recognizing right now is all the CD, Amon, and Gibbs starts I probably had.
Oh, I feel, you know what I feel really good about? My quarterbacks. My highest rostered quarterbacks. Dak. Please tell me if you spot a miss on these quarterbacks. Kyler is my highest rostered quarterback, who hasn't played until this week and looks pretty good. And by the way, I'm advancing 44 of my teams with Kyler Murray as my highest rostered quarterback.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott, my 2nd highest rostered quarterback. Brock Purdy, who is a 17th round pick, 16th round pick, my 3rd highest rostered quarterback. Tua Tagovailoa, my 4th highest rostered quarterback. Patrick Mahomes, my 5th highest rostered quarterback. Jared Goff, my 6th highest rostered quarterback. 7th highest rostered quarterback, Russell Wilson. 8th, Lamar Jackson. 9th, Trevor Lawrence. Maybe that's a miss. But
how did you end up with so little Trevor?
I don't know. I honestly, I have 9% Trevor. I thought I ended up with more, to be honest.
What's the one?
I guess you could say my biggest misses at quarterback are that I have 9% Aaron Rodgers and 8% Anthony Richardson, who are both dead.
I only have 5% Stroud, which kind of makes me sick looking back.
Oh, that's my big miss at quarterback because I have 1% Stroud. I drafted him twice in 150 drafts.
Fair. Let's rip off as many as we can because there's still a lot of people in here.
So we got a Jaden Reed question. Yeah, I mean, Jaden Reed's also been pretty solid so far. I'm quite excited. He's definitely not on the level of Downs and Dell, though, if that's what he's referring to. But he's been pretty solid. Probably not. Denver sucks. Started 1-6, but team is Dak, JT, Breece, Amon-Ra, CD, Kincaid, Cup with Javonte. I mean, so this team, if this is what you drafted, you probably shouldn't have drafted this many players that were going to get out to slow starts. JT, Breece, Javonte, guys like that. Probably would have drafted a little bit more.
Team looks sick
early.
now, though.
It looks sick now for sure. And he is saying it's 4-6. So, I mean, you got a chance to sun run this thing to like 8-6 at the end of the regular season, but this is a risky strategy for sure.
I'm just saying it right now.
Nobody's going to want to play you in the playoffs.
I'm just saying it right now. Call me biased, but why shouldn't Dak be a top 6 quarterback rest of the season with how he's playing and how much he's throwing the ball?
He was a top 6 quarterback in my rest of the season rankings video last week.
He was?
Yep.
Fair play. So who do you have?
Sorry, he was not. He would have been 7 because he was just outside the top 6 tier.
So
I had him leading the tier of CJ Stroud, Tua Tagovailoa, and like some of those guys. But I did have, I believe, Burrow, Herbert, Lamar, and who else would be in that tier?
I moved him over Herbert.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it would have been Allen, Hurts, Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, and Herbert, I think is what I would have had there.
Yeah, I think I had him 8 last week behind Herbert and Tua, but I moved him up to number 6. And I honestly think like the tier between Burrow, Jackson, and Prescott at this point, and it's crazy that we've come to this point knowing like all the complications we had with the offense coming into the year, the slow start that they had, the defense taking over, like the narrative before the Chargers game, literally like up until the Niners game was like, oh, like Dak's just not throwing the football and Mike McCarthy's system stinks. And since then they've just been, the best offense in football and Dak's throwing it 40 times plus a game. It's insane.
Yeah. Also, leave it down below in the chat. I'm going to do a 2-leg parlay of any time touchdown scores. So who's finding the end zone
tonight? I mean, you got to go with Kincaid because, I mean, you got to ride with your boy. And
Kincaid's plus 150. He's actually the 4th highest odds to score. I think I'm going to steer clear of him because I already have one with Kincaid scoring a touchdown in it. So I think I'm going to...
What's the Mims odds?
Pivot to a different one.
If the Mims odds are like super long, I don't mind sprinkling that in case he gets on the field and catches a big long one. Like, what are they? Are they crazy? If they're not crazy, then it's not worth it. But
Mims odds are plus 425.
That's not high enough for me. He barely gets any snaps. I was hoping if it was like close to
for Khalil Shakir, I think I'm gonna take.
I love that. Why is there a plus 60 differel in pricing between Shakir?
And I think I got him as my long shot, and I'm gonna take a favorite as well. I've been saying all week this is a Gabe Davis game, so I'm gonna go Gabe.
No,
actually, that's 2 Bills then. No. I'm going to go one on the Broncos side here.
I would cry if he scores against me.
I'm going to go with Cortland Sutton at plus 170 is the other one.
I like that. For what it's worth, he scored, I think, 6 touchdowns in his last 7 games. Something crazy like that. Okay, let me actually fact check on Sutton, but I think he's literally found the end zone. He's found the end zone on 5 of his last 6 games.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, he's been pretty solid in the red zone. So I went with a Sutton and a Khalil Shakir. It's a $20 bet to pay $190. So
I love that. Things you love to see.
All right, we're gonna probably hop off here because the game is actually on now. So good luck to any of you guys who need a Monday Night Miracle. Hopefully, if you don't need a Monday Night Miracle, you can hold on for a W. I'm gonna go eat some food because I haven't eaten anything in like 36 hours. Alfredo here says, should I trade K9 for one of the Lions running backs, giving K9's schedule going forward? I'm about to be 7-3. I won this week. I have Bijan and Javonte 10-team standard. I would rather have, in a standard league especially, I would rather have David Montgomery or Jahmyr Gibbs over
easily.
But David Montgomery in standard is pretty appealing, especially too.
Apparently, James Cook already fumbled.
Jeez.
All right, yeah. So we're gonna sign off. You guys will see us. Tomorrow you'll see me for waivers video.
Yeah, I'll probably drop a solo video later in the day tomorrow too, because I'm feeling pretty decent now, so I'll probably be good to go tomorrow.
Sounds good. All right, take care, y'all.
Take it easy, fellas.
Can I have you?